Count one, we the jury find the defendant Robert James Watson III guilty of premeditated. I'm sorry, folks. We need to. If you need to step out.
An outburst of applause in court today as a string of guilty verdicts were handed down for the murders of 4 members of the Careaga family. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Frankie Thompson.
I'm Hannah Kim. Justice has been served in one of the worst crimes out of Kitsap County. In Superior Court today, Danie Kelly Jr. and brothers Bobby and Johnny Watson were found guilty of murdering a family of 4.
This case dates back to 7 years to January 2017. 16-year-old Hunter Shape, 16-year-old Jonathan Higgins, and 37-year-old Christale Careaga were executed inside of their home. Then the murderers tried to hide the crime with fire. 43-year-old John Careaga's body was found days later in a burned-out truck hidden in a tree farm.
Fox 13 News reporter A.J. Janival was in the courtroom for the verdict, and A.J., the judge, had to warn the family members there during the hearing.
You know, there was just so much emotion in that courtroom today. You can imagine 7 years of waiting for justice. This hearing delayed due to so many different reasons, including a biker gang code of silence, witness fear, as well as COVID-19. Now, what investigators say the motive for this quadruple murder was drugs, money, and personal issues. Officials tell me there were safety concerns during the entire 4 months of testimony, which had extra security on site each day. And today, following the verdict, the media, family, and the jury were escorted out of the courtroom due to safety concerns. After 7 years of waiting, I spoke to the family about how they feel finally getting justice.
So for this day to finally get here, we never thought it would come. I mean, 7 years is a long time, but we're here, we made it, and our families can rest.
I'm glad it's over, and we just wait for the next court date to finally hear what they're going to do with those 3 guys.
And you hear the next thing that this family is waiting for is for that court date. The sentencing is expected for May 7th, but all 3 of these defendants are convicted of several counts of murder in the first degree, aggravated murder in the first degree. Officials at the prosecutor's office here tell me just 1 conviction of aggravated murder in the first degree is a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of release. Reporting live in Kitsap County, I'm A.J. Janival, Fox 13 News.
AJ, thanks. Fox 13 has been following this story since the very beginning, and Fox 13's David Rose dug deep into this case for years, even highlighting the investigation on the spotlight.
Yeah, so David is on the phone right now for us. David, I know that even before the 3 men were arrested in 2022, for years you covered the murders extensively, and you shared every update and challenges that investigators were facing, which in part culminated in their arrest. So how are people close to this case feeling right now, David?
Well, Ann and Frankie, I talked to Detective Lisa Gundrum right after the verdict was announced today. Lisa spent 5 years working on this case. It was the only case that she was assigned to. That was why it was such a big priority for the Kitsap County Sheriff's Office. And she had a great partner in the FBI who was there from the very beginning. She says that she is so grateful to all of the jury who went in depth on this and did everything they could to examine the evidence and to really challenge it from all sides. She said there was even contentious sometimes inside the jury as they deliberated, and she appreciates the time they spent because this went on for months. And she says she's grateful to the work they did, and she's also grateful to all the public who helped on this case by providing information.
Yeah, David, we know that you have been following this case every step of the way, and this has also gained plenty of media attention for the past several years. Is anyone saying how media coverage has played a role in any part of this case?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with both Lisa and with Lieutenant Chad Birkenfeld numerous times over the years, and when they were stuck or they needed some particular piece of information or they had a piece of video that they wanted to release, some surveillance video or video of a car, they would turn to the public for help. They would turn to Fox 13 for help. And our viewers every single time stepped up with crucial information to help piece together the puzzle. This is an extremely complicated case. The families were extremely patient, and she just could not say enough good things about the family and how grateful she is. I mean, they waited 5 years or more just to get the charges filed, and then had to go through this lengthy process with culminating in the verdict. So this really was a partnership between the community, the sheriff's office, and many of the viewers at Fox 13 who submitted tips to Crime Stoppers, who was also involved. And, you know, this was a horrific wound in the community, and it gave people who watched the stories, who participated, a way to try to help feel safer, to do whatever they could, especially to get justice for those two 16-year-old boys and for Christale and Johnny. I mean, this was a horrific case that has left people feeling unsafe for years in Kitsap County.
David, and as you said it, you know, we want to thank the public for bringing in those tips over the years. 7 long years. You heard, you know, a family member talking about it. They were tearful, and they say finally they can kind of go to rest on this case. So it's really good job to the public again, and good job to you for sharing all the information over the years, culminating in this verdict today.
Yes, David,
Yeah,
thank
really
you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll talk to you guys again at 5.